Welcome everyone to the second session on ethical hacking and bug bounty program by Subham and Learncybersec. Once again, warm welcome you. So today topic will cover web security fundamentals as well as the we packed with the agenda like web bugs and reconnaissance. Will show some of the POCs. So before diving into the session, would like to walk you through the disclaimer again, as we are teaching ethical hacking and bug bounty practices. This is purely intended for educational and learning purposes, not for any bad intent. So with that note, since from last week, have published a couple of videos on Burp Suite Community Edition as well as Kali Linux. I have pushed the content on the blog, the recorded video available on the blog in case you don't know how to set up Burp Suite, as well as Kali Linux using Windows System for Linux on Windows 11 or 10. Watch those videos and set up the tools to get started, as these two tools are primary tools to read the headers as well as multiple projects you can use from the Kali Linux. So you just need to know how to set up Burp Suite as well as Kali Linux. So hope that information is useful. So with that note, I just hand over to Shubham for today's session. Over to you, Shubham.
Sure, sir. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to represent the day two. And so, guys, welcome you all. I think people came from day one are very excited to join in this new session. So this session is going to be overall about the web security basics and how you gonna approach bug bounty, how you can pursue, and what should be your thoughts and details, and little about the vulnerabilities of OWASP top 10, and a little bit discussion with some POCs. So let's start. Am I properly audible? And
Yeah, you're clear.
my screen is visible, sir?
Yeah, visible.
Sure. Okay. So let's start this time. Great. So, guys, welcome for the second day. It's web security, understanding the vulnerabilities and the attack mindset. Definitely, I checked, some of the people's responses that they're telling, it should be more oriented to practical things. So, we are gonna cover some practical things there, but the most important thing is it's just a basic course for beginners. I am not expecting people to understand things deeply, but you have ample amount of time, like more than 5 to 6 days. You can search about those things, learn about those things, right? So coming to the today's agenda, yeah. uh, so the thing is, today we are going to discuss about some web bugs and little bit of recon. And when I'm going to discuss about the web bugs, I'm going to tell you about those POCs. All right, and so let's start. So first of all, bug bounty is not just based on web, but they have a ample amount of targets, like including wildcard domains that are related to web. Then mobile pen test, Android pen test, and iOS pen test, and their network internal details and all. Sure. So we are choosing, web. So basically, web is the starting point of everything. And yeah, first come why web. We are targeting web. The obviously the perfect storm, because you go to hacker one, you go to bug crowd and all other resources like integrity. There will be a lot of public exposure, because everything you are doing, it's connected to internet. There might be some UI phases like user interface, and most of them are coming through these web apps, must be accessible to the world, right? Like using port 80 and 443, 80 is HTTP, 443 HTTPS. There are other cases where you can connect to FTP like 21, SSH, SSL, POP3, IMAP. I'm not getting into the details there, but basically, whatever we search, we in our life we started with Google, right? It was also created on web. So basically data reach also, because the gateways, the database, PIIs, credit cards, secrets, everything is there. And the complexity. Modern apps rely on hundreds of libraries like Next.js, Modern.js. I mean, I think you guys have heard about Next.js, React, Vue, Angular. There's a lot of things. So that's why we're targeting, and it's very easy and beginner friendly. And this course is beginner friendly. I'm trying to, help community. So that's why I chose web. Now coming to the attack surface overview. So in a web-based, scenario, there are some user inputs, right? Where you can see like forms, search bars, URL parameters, headers. I mean, anywhere you get a param, I mean, you get a place to put some inputs, some parameters, some details, some accesses, some payloads, anything. Then there are API points, API endpoints, like, there might be some JS crawlers using JS endpoints, mobile app backends, and legacy API versions. Like, most cases user v1, v2, v3, and other handling courses for the CRUD operation create. I think you guys know about little bit of CRUD, that update, delete, all that options. Then coming to the file upload, uh, you come to a resume website, you try to upload some details there. I mean, your resume, there might be some vulnerabilities in many other cases, like creating a Facebook account and Instagram account. You try to upload a image, like some details. So that might be a scenario. Then auth flows, like you want to log in, you want to register, you want to password reset, you want to try checking on auth handshakes, talking about states. All these things are very much related. So these are the attack surface. The surface is huge. I mean, there is no doubt that you will get multiple handles, multiple endpoints, dot back, I mean, backup files, everything. We'll gradually discuss those things. Now coming to the uh, input validation basics. So everything, whatever we do, it's related to, inputs. I mean, most of the things you are searching for URLs, you are searching for parameters, you are trying to, find some details, structures, going to the admin pages. Everything is related to that input validation. There might be some CSPs, that means content security policies, that I already discussed in the previous session. So I'm not going deep into this input validation basics, but right now I'm going to talk about like boundaries. What are the line where the data moves from, let's say, untrusted user data. So, there's a policy called zero trust policy. SER is already in Zscaler, and Zscaler created a zero trust policy. I mean, never trust, always verify. So there might be some parser data, fetched. There some might be roles, access controls, policies for admin, policies for, normal user. There might be some certain cases where you will get the access to read, write, and execute, that we obviously discussed in the previous section. So here is the golden rule, that never trust client side validation. There might be cases, as you can see in, parameter tampering, like you try to change the price manipulation. Let's say it's 200, you change it to 2 rupees, and the backend actually I mean, the server, finds that yeah, yes, client is actually giving the data for the value is only 2 rupees. So I think this is right. So that's a problem there. And a server should, take that input, that yes, it is validating this certain order. Like, now recent cases where the companies do one thing, they, take the object ID, or the EID, or the user ID, or let's say you want to buy a product, there might be a product ID, and that product ID is exactly associated with that price, that given price. And if you try to change or modify it, it will it will just devalidate it, reject it, and only give the reasonable price that is connected to that certain server. Right, so that might be the cases for, input validation. So this time I added some of the POCs here. I will share the link of the hacker one reports. I also mentioned the report number also. So I am going to show you a input validation bypass. I mean, let's say there is a POC to provide a concrete example of this vulnerability. Let's say there is account takeover through input validation. What you can do is make sure you have logged into fabric.io. I am only sharing these things because these has already been resolved, and the report is disclosed. Okay, so make you sure you are logged in, go to this website, click the button. There is a phone number automatically generated, as you can see in this case. Now attacker can use the reset password with digest feature. We'll discuss this in this current session about some very huge bugs, and we'll get astonished that how much data they are I mean how much payment they are getting through this. So coming to the basic OWASP, most important, attacks are injection attacks. I think you guys will know a little bit about injection attack. Do you have any knowledge about injections like HTML injection, SQL injection, code injection, SSTI, server-side template injection? Have you ever done it? Oh, sorry. Please maximize. Try to maximize there. Actually, I have to, I think the PDF will be shared in the documents. You can check it out from there. And this session, I will give you the uh, details and responses here. So I think, yeah, I think this much is great. Yeah, so coming to the injection, I have given an example of SSTI here. You can check out the reports. You can go to the reports. You can read about all those things. So what is injection? Injection happens when an application mistakenly interprets user data as system code. For example, it's given as for SQL injection, but I have shared here HTML. No, this is a SSTI, server side template injection. What is happening here? You can see that 7 cross 7 means 49. So let's say I'm trying to use an username, and let's say I put it 7 in 7, and let's say in case of generating an email, it's giving me an email back where my username will be 49. So that means it's actually validating this number. And if it's coming as 7 cross 7, so there might not be any template injection from server side, because server is giving back something that is 49 or related to this. So what happens here is, let's say you put some execution data for like Java execution handling, like internal some IDs, details. Uh, so if you want to check this, let's go to the report number 1104349. So let's go to your 110439. Everything is open here. You can check about all the reports there. So as you can see, I mean, I don't want to go in depth because these things are very much hard to understand. From the perspective of a beginner, but you can understand very basically that I am putting 7 and 7, and the server is giving me a profile, but the email can give you an application of 49. Means the server is actually validating this case. So this is a server side template injection. What you can do is, this hacker didn't do it, but we could try some Java language code execution IDs that was actually happening in recent 55182. So yeah, you just when starting bug bounty, you just have to be motivated all the time, have to read all the hacker one reports. In, let's say you want to understand for injection, just go through all the reports, whatever is there. You will get to understand multiple cases, multiple scenarios. And let's say you find out some websites and you see, okay, I'm doing 7 in 7, and it's giving back 49. So in that case you might think, okay, there might be a SSTI. Let's try to escalate it to some other levels, I mean chaining some vulnerabilities, right? Now coming to the accesses, like cross-site scripting. The concept of cross-site, do guys, are you understanding my points? Yeah, execute on input box. Have you ever done accesses, cross-site scripting? Have you guys heard about accesses? Yes, great. So cross-site scripting is basically validating a data, I mean a JavaScript payload, uh, through multiple ways, either through DOM, document object, modification and all. Maybe there might be stored, or there might be other reflected accesses. We'll gradually discuss about it. So cross accesses allows an attacker to inject malicious JavaScript into a web page viewed by other users. So let's create a scenario. There is a option, there is a website called abc.com, and there might be a parameter called search parameter. Let's say you log into that abc.com. You get the the server will create a object ID, details, session tokens, everything. And let's say you create a parameter where the data will give you the documents and the cookies. And as a hacker, I will share this link with you to the victim, and victim just opens it in his browser. Let's say he gets logged in already, he's in logged in already. And when the data will pop up, or maybe some places where the things will be stored, the session cookies will be there to the malicious website through the payloads, and I will get their cookies, session tokens. And as a hacker, I can take over their account. I mean, from access to account takeover, it's a chaining. So what are the impacts? You can see stealing cookies, session hijacking, keylogging, phishing, and the victim, the user, I mean the client side attack. So there might be real world programs like, as you can see in this program, it's using in Shopify. So what is happening is, there is a form, as we already discussed, that in injection we can use forms, details, templates, and other things. And he probably created a product, and these were the some HTTP, I mean HTTP. There are some JavaScript payloads that got generated, and it created some documents. As you can see, he got like 5,300 bounty, and that's great just for medium. So think how much we can get, right? So there were steps mentioned. You can go to this case 1147433. Okay, let's go to that. So basically, you are giving some, inputs. The website is not, not trying to, stop this data. I mean, they are trying to, but we are somehow managing to create a payload that is generated in the, uh, you know, certain products, certain forms. You share that forms, and let's say the victim is already logged in. His data will be, taken to the hackers website. You can try to check about those POCs here. So again, my point is, try to read all those reports. It will definitely help you understand about the basics and the details. Now coming to the types of accesses, I will also share some of my accesses. Let's say, but you guys please maximize PPT slide unable to read. Okay, actually I don't know how to enable. Yes, slides, I guess.
The downside, sir. Next to that,
Yeah. Okay. And this one was there. Yeah, types of accesses. So there are different type of accesses like reflected, stored, and DOM. Basically for DOM, document object modification, you try to, you know, the vulnerability exists in client side code rather than server side. So basically you try to, create some payloads, put some document objects, I guess people have to know a little bit about JavaScript, how like async properties work, like how object is being created in the payload. I mean, we can call that payload. You can check about all these reports that are open in Medium, in HackerOne. Just read about all those things. It will be very helpful. Then coming to the stored accesses, let's say there might be a contact form. You put the details there and you use a very important, I mean, subjective payload, let's say, and you put your malicious website for stored accesses. And let's say when this data, I mean, forms data reach to the vendor side, uh, there a pop-up generates, or maybe there might not be any pop-up, but the data will be chunked and passed to that website of the hacker. So that might be a stored case, like payload is stored in database, script executes whenever user views the pages. Now coming to the reflected accesses, this is the most common type. You see, try to create a payload, and the payload will give a pop-up like this. So let's come to this report. I think I will share my own POC here. Let's go to the POC. So this was a CV for Global Protect Pan OS. That was, I guess, 0133. I think, let me show you. So, so there was, you know, uh, recent CV in Pan OS, I mean, Palo Alto, where there was this certain endpoint like SSL VPN. Then there was some config data for ESP. We will also discuss about that project discovery in this session. So when you go to this endpoint, a pop-up will generate. So I think I also shared some data here. So let's say this one. All of those data got resolved, so no worries about that. Let me just go back. And it was creating a pop-up for different websites. Let's say, for example, vpnoutlier.ai. These things also got popped up. If you forward this in that certain endpoint, you will get the output. Let's say you change the reflected accesses data, let's say Subham, as you can see here. If I try to send it to repeater, it will create a pop-up. Yeah, as you can see, the script is generating a prompt here. Yeah, it created a pop-up. That might be a case. Anyways. Yeah. Now, if you want to go to this report, we will share the PPT. You can go check out about that accesses also. Now coming to the accesses attack flow. So what is happening here? You know, you give some commands through scripts, like as you can saw that in SSL VPN, then config.json file. So there might be some certain endpoints, some parameters where you can go check for first HTML injection. You try to put some header file, some sliding files, um, and then you can create the JavaScript payload there. For example, let's see here. What is happening is I found a DOM based accesses. What he did is he went to this forestscout.com, and there were some endpoints, for example, that it was vulnerable to image parameters. but this will just work on MEI, okay, browser because it's Chrome. So what was happening here? It was having a location hash file that was only functioning to a jQuery function box. I think it's getting over your head. I mean, it will take some time to understand what is happening, but you need to have a little bit of basic knowledge to about JavaScript. All right. You can go and check the report ID to understand what is happening in the backend. Right. Let's come back to XSS payload basic. I actually am going to share this endpoint for payloads. As you can see, it is free, it's open. There are multiple payloads here present, like these are present from XSS strikes, different scanner tools you can use. As a beginner, I will definitely suggest you to go and try different tools like XSS Strike and Brute XSS. Try anything like XSS over from uh, a very recent tool recently launched. You can try these payloads. I mean, not just randomly. You can obviously try as a beginner randomly using becoming a script kiddie. But I'll definitely suggest, script kiddie is the first step to understand what is happening in the backend. Then try to understand what is, actually triggering the accesses and all. So I think coming to that next slide. What are the defenses? I already discussed about it, like XSS protection, content security policy. As you can see, CSP, the default SRC. That means the if a website is not, putting the certain cases. Guys, can you please give me just 1 minute? Yeah, very sorry, guys. Let's start. So, what are the
Shubham, you're on mute. Shubham, you're on mute. On top, you see the mic. Unmute.
right, sir? Very sorry,
Yeah,
very sorry.
okay. No.
Yeah, sure. Right. So coming to the XSS defense, like content security policies, I already discussed about default SRC. Then there might be some cases where XSS protection is zero, depending on how, uh, the parsing is happening. If the server side is actually giving any client side to or any client to handle the data, or creating any object manipulation through that web server. So, there might be some output encoding, like convert special characters into HTML entities before rendering. So they will actually try to render data. You can try it in, Microsoft Live. You try to put a payload, it will it just directly parse. And WAF, like web application firewalls, will also, help to parse those accesses. So finding accesses, generating a payload by yourself is very hard, but gradually you will understand it. Now, the most important thing that I already discussed is CSP. There, that is the HTTP header. Tells the browser that the source is whether executable scripts are approved or not. So these are very, defined concepts. You can use filtering, you can use escape, you can use sanitization. Sanitization means you are trying to put a data, let's say script. Multiple time people use capital S, then small c, then two slices, then R. To, bypass the payload, how the server is actually handling the JS. So they use that sanitization, and then data validation. let's say it's getting executed. It's actually happening in Google. You can check in play Google Books also. If you try to put any random web server with the XSS payload, let's say use a test php.com and then some certain XSS payloads. You go there, you put the details, you will find that this website is creating some sandboxes and not giving the actual data from the main web server. So sandbox escaping might be a case for hackers also, but yeah, there are multiple cases like maintenance and testing and the awareness. So I hope accesses part is clear for you guys. Do you have any question here? Yeah. Yes, Owen, you are right. We would stop the client side dependence. Right. Guys, do you have any other question? You can ask. Okay. Okay. Now coming to the CQLI, I told you guys to start reading about CQLI and do for Portswiggle apps. I hope you guys have done that. I hope you guys have installed Kali and Buff to start understanding things. So coming to the CQLI, SQL injection. SQL is structured query language. So basically, whatever you are doing with queries, like understanding how queries are actually working through database, how you can put some details, and it will be stored in the database. You're putting your password, you're putting your details, name, everything, and the data is stored and to the server side. And that is how DBA works, database administrator. They try to check, validate, and understand how data is structured, what are the schemas, I mean, how the overall database is created. So when a hacker try to, come to the database of that website, it will be, pretty hard for any, security analyst to understand how things are working, because, if someone has the access of your database, they have everything about your website, right? So whenever you see a SQL injection, it's always critical. So what is the impact there? Manipulating backend database queries through the user input. We try to put some user data like 1 = 1. So that's a backdated case, but still used in multiple cases if the server is not that great. So this allows the attacker to view data they are not normally able to retrieve, right? What is the impact? So the impact is most for the SQL injection. So basically data leakage, auth bypass, data destruction. So what is the target? Obviously the database. So now coming to the multiple cases about database, handling and injection. So type of SQL injection. What are the type of SQL injection? There might be union based, boolean based, time based, and there are multiple other cases. You can go to integrity and check for SQL injection, and they will have a dedicated page there to help you understand how SQL is working. So basically union based is, so I have given a union based example here. So uses the different union cases like operators to combine results of two queries. Uh, Guys, I think in SQL you guys know about joins like left join, right join, and other joins. Any resources to learn bypassing WAF? Yeah, yeah, exactly. This is there in uh, you know integrity. I will show you right now after the SQL injection. Okay. So coming to the injection, let's see this case. So there was this website, and there was some community, let's say endpoint. And what he used is a union based attack, a normal SQL union query. Like this is the endpoint that I was getting, and I want to, union. I guess people have heard in maths problem like exclude, include, union, graph, sets. So they are doing a union select, and they are trying to check how many data sets are there, like one, two, three, four, everything. So let's say union select one, two, three, four, and then other versions and other things. But in case of three, they are using some at the rate versions. Okay. And it was showing at the back end that, yeah, this is working on this MariaDB. Uh, and then the version, then percent 23 might be some, uh, you know, null byte encoding. So we can check about this report if you want to. Okay. Now coming to the SQL injection flows. Okay, about the time Boolean based. So Booleans means, I guess, yes and no. No, I mean true or false. Some asking database for the question. There might be some SQL errors in the back end, and it will show in the front end that there might be SQL errors. That might be an indication for the uh, error based Boolean based blind injection. And then some time based. Basically you have to learn. I mean, I'm not telling you that you have to go and find SQL injection, but you should understand how things are working. You should go with Portswigger lab. There's a detailed discussion about how SQL injection is actually happening. And believe me guys, if you find any SQL injection in any recognizable uh, bug bounty program, you will definitely get a huge chunk of money. It's not just for money, but also for the passion. So you will, feel very good. Yeah, I found a SQL injection. I got the database access like that. Then there might be some time-based attacks, like you put some sleep data to there, like let's say sleep 10 seconds, sleep 0 seconds, sleep 5 seconds. So through that you can create a payload where you can use some Zor applications, and you will get the database there. You can use SQL map also. uh SQL map is also very helpful. You can check about all those things, like how the SQL injection is happening. People will definitely tell you that, let's say when you go to a website, there's a login page. You try to use something like admin or one equals one, or there might be some data selection, or the SQL queries from the URL, or there might be some user agent where you can use select star from this user, and then user input or some data. So this might be very critical for beginners to understand, but definitely you should check out those post labs. It will definitely help you guys. So there might be, so I'm going to tell you the flow. Let's say there's a programming language, there's an object, there's a ORM, then some SQL text. I mean, let's say this is the backend. Backend is connected to a database server. So database server is contacting with the server through database drivers. There might be some binary protocols like PostgreSQL database, KQL database, GraphQL. So there are a lot of query languages you can check. So there might be some storage that is saved there, some query planners, some SQL parser, then protocol parser. So there might be a case where you are putting a SQL injection code, and it's going to the server first, then the asking the server for the database. So database is also checking, let's say for this case, admin or one equals to one. So there might be a true false boolean base. So in case of this boolean base, obviously one equals to one is always true, right? So they will say, yeah, there might be cases where admin's password might not be present there. But what is happening is the backend is checking, okay, whatever the data he is pulling in the URL, it's true. So we should give back the resources for the admin. So what they do is check the driver version, and then give the boolean that, yeah, the definition is true, and the binary write protocol, or maybe binary definition protocol or wire protocol will actually hit the protocol parser ki, hey, I got that true data, I should pass the data to a SQL parser. So SQL parser will move that to the query planner. Query planner is basically mm, checking all the chunk of data, all the resources present in one sleep file, and then it will go to a storage and WL. So that's how SQL queries are actually generated, and you can try to use that. So I think it's a little bit of deep concept, I think you should try to study about SQL injection through multiple resources. We'll share the resources there. Is there any question or queries? Okay, Gokul told me that any resources to learn bypassing WAF. Yeah, definitely. There are a lot of resources. You can go to sliber.io. I mean, let's go. Recently, a Versal WAF bypass was there. So just search for everything is free. Everything is free. Just search for SQL, HackerOne reports, or might be SQL. Let's say WAF bypass. Let's say for integrity. Integrity has also a huge data chunk. Okay. Here you can see there are bug bytes where details will be shared. What is XSS? What is current challenge? What are SQL challenges? You can go to every detail and search. There might be some write-ups, some challenges. Everything will be there. You can ask it. And let's say web bypass through, let's say, Portswigger. I am also encouraging you guys to, go through Portswigger. It will definitely help you a lot. Let's say there are, as you can see, SQL injection with filter by XML encoding. There might be some labs, there might be some solutions. What is happening with SQL? What are the stored IDs? Why you selected union null? You will understand it. But basically, a real website is much different than a planned website. So we know these websites are vulnerable, but most of the cases things might not be there, right? You should go through all these reports. They have dedicated videos how to detect the SQL, what are the things, why update, insert, select, what is the orders, what is actually SQL, how it's working, and I mean where you can search for categories, and then why released, what are the website forms, example of SQL injections. You can check what is SQL injection, what are the impacts. You can get all the data from here, so you don't even have to ask. But the main important thing is you have to study. Now coming back to the SQLi indicators. So what are the indicators? I mean, how you can detect that there might be a SQL in injection. So there might be a database error that I already mentioned you. You might have an error for the SQL syntax. So let's say this is Holy Grail error based SQL. Okay, this is Holy Grail error based SQLi. We'll get an error. Time delays might be there. Like you are giving a 5 second, it will give you back in 5 second response. Then 10 second and 10 second response, and you might create say 2000 second, and there might be a timeout. Then some missing data, let's say you are adding a code, cause a parts of the page to disappear. I mean, let's say you are putting some data, you are finding some pages like 1234 1233, and you are going, let's say you are putting 1235. So there might be error case, or there might be cases where the no data will be given. So you can understand that there might be 1234 tables total. So here you can check that was trying to select star means, or asterisk you can say. So select data, whole select data from the user where username is question and the request body. Then you can use the error results here. So these are different indicators to understand what is happening in the SQL. Then coming to the preventing SQL injection. So basically for XSS and SQL almost things are same, but mostly a little difference is the execution query might be there. So let's say what is the result? You search for something, and an execution query is generated through the backend. So this is just an example of Java. You can also use JavaScript. So let's say ORMs are using different type of libraries. You should handle sanitization automatically. So in case of ORM, hibernate or squeeze the typical handle sanitization automatically. So basically, it's kind of similar content security policies, user data, checking whether the server should execute the data or not, and then putting some parameter query, say code example, let's say like select account balance from account where customer, changing the names and not giving the permission to any, let's say, client or website to, execute something in the backend. So that might be an option. Yeah, till now we cleared SQL injection and all the details. Do you have any query? Guys, do you have any query? I think other people should interact also. Okay. Okay, then come to the next slides. Now coming to the OS injection. Or so I specifically took this part, I could go with some easy cases like session hijacking. I have included them, but why I included is to, I want you guys to, study about all those things like what is PHP system, why it's working like that, how things are, getting up to this level, what is the IP, what is the password, why it's happening, why I'm trying to use command injection and, in OS level like LFI, local file inclusion and other cases. So, let's see this case. Workers when an application passes unsafe user supplied data, maybe forms, maybe cookies, maybe HTTP headers to a system cell. So SSTI can be, connected to OS command injection. Let's say you are finding a server, input invalidation, and you are putting a OS command there. Let's say ID, and it's generating the ID back. It actually happened in recent 55182, and this OS command injection happened due to deserialization of the RSC protocol in React Server Component Protocol. I think some of the people know about Log4j. So these kind of things are very similar to that. Let's say uh, let's go to this report. The report is 807961. Okay, let's go. Yeah. So there might be cases like OS command injection, like user input. You are putting some data, hey, who am I? And the data is getting back to the like the details about the user on the front end, and then might be the high user one. So you can search about OS command injection and with other cases also. But I just want you guys to understand that there might be a PHP version vulnerable, or might be some cases where you can put the ping data. I could show you this, but and I have recently done it, but I can't show you because it's not you know done yet. So the what will be the indicators of the command injection? Like you again can put some inputs for like sleep, response angst, or might be some execution or fallback. There might be some output leakage there. I mean, let's say some data input, their root, you have a C. There might be behavior changes like causing a syntax error or OS command injection. Let's say you put ls, I mean list command, and you get the details of that certain endpoint, or might be some crashes like 500 error. This was actually happening in 55182. So for example, there is a host where there is a port, and this is the endpoint, and you put a XML entity. Okay. And you might give some plugin. Let's say you try to ping a website, and actually it's getting ping, so that might be a scenario also. So I think it's 2:50. If you guys want to take a little bit of break. No, OTP leakage is not OS command vulnerability. This might be a server misconfiguration, but not a OS command. Right.
I will give everyone 5 minutes bio break. We'll resume the session around 3 p.m.
Sure, sir. Take your time. Sure. So as I was discussing about, you know, OS, indicator of command injection might be delays, might be breaks, might be behavior changes. So I'm sharing you a critical case here. I don't want to, put the details of any host or anything. It's just an example. I found this very recently in 11 December. As you can see that I already discussed that there might be behavior changes like some errors, some root cases, some RCs there. So this was the one that I found very recently. So what was happening here is, as you can see, I could use the timeout details for the delays, the options, the errors. Then there were some next redirect and proto solving cases, and this was the execute sync. I mean exec sync, where I put the details of the cat etc password for the internal details for this WebKit boundary, right? And as you can see, the website created a digest, and the server was not the server could not handle the internal server behavior, and it was bypass through hit. And the first data were some random digest, and there were other parsing for these errors were creating a uh, details pool for the daemon process and the internal etc password file. We could even use for UIDs also, GUID and the other host IDs. So this is a OS injection that I found recently. So again, you can also do that gradually. So come to the next slides, that is on file upload vulnerabilities. Okay. Okay, so what is file upload vulnerability? I already discussed that there might be some options where you can put your image or your resume, might be some PHP files, might be your scenario where you share something, then you can share a post. There might be some endpoints for WordPress, like yeah, connected different plugins for where you can upload the data there. So in that scenario, allowing users to upload file is dangerous. Obviously, there should be some precautions there. Let's say, there might be a PDF.js endpoint, right? I mean, let's say the endpoint is using PDF.js, and that JavaScript, file is actually, let's say, old version, and there might be some, excesses or RCs present. You can do that. Or let's say you try to put some PHP files that are connected to cell. So when you upload that, a CMD file gets generated there. So that might be a important scenario also. So it's if it's not validated, an attacker can upload a server side script. I mean web cell. Okay. So upload exploitation, techniques. There might be double extension, let's say, as I told you. So let's say there might be a upload specific option that is JPG for, let's say, image version. You can upload images, extensions of JPG, or might be, PNG, JPEG, something like that, or WEVM or WBM files, but you can't upload a PHP file there. But what you can do is, let's say you go to Bubsuit and you put the payload there, like a cell code there, like PHP info might be there, and you just change the name something.php to cell.php.jpg, as you can see here, or something, double extension to trick the extension filter. So filter will say, hey, we don't do it. I mean, like, uh, we don't do it here. But when you bypass these type of tricks, they will say, okay, this might be validated. Okay, let it cook, and they try to hackers try to upload it, and it's get uploaded, and it's connected to the cell. So when this happens, there might be some important error cases also. So I added a step-by-step reproduction phase. Just try to imagine that. Let's say I go to this website, right, and create an account. Go preference after you log in and choose newsletter profile tab. Might be some profile tabs or something. There might be some logos apps option. Keep the default slot one, hit browser image upload. So you try to upload an image. Now go to the bottom and choose update. You try to, update in your proxy tool, as I told in browser. I mean, you go to browser, you try to upload a file, and then let's say for this case you are using burp, and I mean proxy tool, whatever, burp kite or whatever you use. Replay the request with a image num parameter and change to cow or 50, whatever you want. So now the append the same value and image data and the post request. So how the request will change? So there might be endpoint like script wcgi, and there might be some inserted modified value here. So when you change with that burp case, and it will upload. And now to verify, download the image and look at the image text. Okay, so you try to upload it, you try to parse it with double extensions, and it get might be double or something else, and it will get updated without properly validating it. Then there might be cases where MIME type bypass. So some XPHP or some image or some JPEG, as I told you, intercept the request and change the content type. Then there might be null byte injection like %23, %22. Then changing the name of the JPG in older system. This truncates to self PHP. Once you hit the cell, once the website doesn't validate and let it parse, you will get to that cell command. And now after uploading the cell, you can maybe try to use a reverse TCP or some type of handlers to connect to that website. So you can try then some OS attacks also. So that might be a very critical case. Now so this is a file upload vulnerability. You can try in multiple companies, multiple websites. Just try. If they are in scope, then only do it, else don't do it. So yeah, that's the point. One more time, that let's say this was one PHP and I uploaded a cell, take right, and there might be some OS command injection like CMD equals to ID, and it will give you the IDs of that website. So that's all. Now coming to the authentication vulnerabilities. Yeah, coming to the authentication. Authentication is everywhere. You try to log into Google, you try to log into any company. There might be cases where you don't have the access if you are not properly authenticated. If you try to bypass 2FA, credential stuffing, brute force, there's a lot of things. So what is authentication bypass? Basically, you try to log in to a website. There might be some two-factor or multi-factors for this verification to actually authorize you to your certain email access. So that might be a case where uh, there might be other ways. For example, let's say my name is, for this was one example for instagram brand.com. It was from also hacker one. So let's say you have a name, let's say abc@gmail.com, right? And you are a victim, you created your account already. So let's say as a victim, you have your own account abc@gmail.com, and now say I am hacker, I know your website abc@gmail.com, and I try to password reset verify token. And what I did was I tried to put at instead of at the rate, I use multiple parameters like punicode type or definite definite other cases, like instead of at the rate you can use %40, as you can see. Come here, %40 instead of at the rate. This is an existing email, and this email is already connected to some IDs might be. But when I send it to this website, the email is sent. I mean, the response is sent. So let's say you have already an existing email, and someone tries to send, take over your own, victim's email. So that might be the case of at a, account takeover. This is happening because of the server side misconfiguration, and that is also authentication or related case. So that might be one scenario. So I'm going to discuss about this authorization and IDO. This is a very easy case, and you will get, uh, you will get puzzled that how much bounty he got. It's like, and it also got, disclosed very recently. 35,000 for this one bug. So, authorization related to IDOR. I mean, occurs when an application provides a direct access to an object based on user supplied input. That I showed you in the last session, invoice generation and all. But now let's come to this, report ID 2293343. Okay, let's come. 229 3343. So it was found in GitLab. It was just a very basic, easy bug. So what happened was, let's say what he was telling that I found a way to change the password of GitLab account via password reset form and successfully retrieve the final reset link without user interaction. Great. I mean, this is totally critical. You don't know that your password was getting passed through uh, uh, some hacker's account, hacker's email, without even you knowing it, right? So what he did was go to forget your password link, enter victim's email, and intercept the submit request via Bubshoot. Then right click on the HTTP editor. So what was there? Let's say there was user email and there was a victim at the gmail.com. What you did was you changed the JSON payload from user to victim at the gmail.com, and just you single-handedly passed attacker's gmail.com, right? And the reset password token was not going to that only victim's Gmail, but it was going to the attacker's Gmail. You should get an email containing a reset link that was sent to the both emails. So how easy it is it, right? I mean, there's nothing, but most people didn't find it till then. See, he got like 35,000 bounty for that. I mean, wow. So that is happening. Then coming to the session management issues, I think we're going pretty fast. I really want to know if people are getting interested or not. Guys, do you have any problem? Any problem with understanding the topics? You can check about all those details. We'll add the references and the PPT also. Right. So now coming to the session management. So what is happening in session management issues? So let's say, I am a user. Whenever I try to log in, the website creates a session management token and it gives an access to a certain time. And let's say when I log out, all my session management, CSRF tokens, SSRF tokens, whatever session ID, session generation tokens are there, it will get devalidated, and I can't use the previous session tokens that I used just before that, right? I mean, in previous case, I can't reuse it. So that will be a, session invalidation after logout. So that will be the case. Like you should invalidate the session after the case. But there might be some scenarios where, attacker sets a user session ID before the login. After login, attacker hijacks it. Then there might be some insecure cookies like HTTP only via JS or some secure HTTP flags, some CSRF or SSRF reuse token. This actually can lead to CSRF, client side request for forgery, sorry. And then lack of expiration. So there is one, header called maxage that I already explained in the previous scenario, that it might be 36,000 seconds or other cases. So there might be some, expire or logout options present. There should be. So this is a very famous session fixation, and I also found some session fixation in Apple also. And let's say what is the scenario here? So let's say there is one Shopify. This is a very easy case. What you have to do is go to this, let's say go to a website. It was from Shopify, right? Go to a website, click on sign in, continue with Google account or whatever account, whatever MFA you have. Use edit the cookies extension to export the cookies. You might use extension, or you just directly copy your cookies from the uh, you know dev tools. And once you logged in, click on edit cookies extension, export the cookies. You just download the cookies. Now open another browser, and it should log out. Now, open another browser and import those cookies. So you try to import the cookies that you tried to use for the login, right? So it is obviously a low to medium vulnerability because you need user interaction or some prevention through that. So log out from your first browser. I mean, the let's say victim logs out, but the what is happening is the session is not getting invalidated. So the hacker still is logged in and can use your session, can use your Google account or whatever happening there. So this is an example of a very easy session fixation, right? Now, there might be some cases for CSRF. So CSRF is also related to this case, like cross-site request forgery. What is happening is, let's say there might be an attacker, okay, who try to check that this website has an option called update your profile picture, or might be update your email, and you click on the email and generate a POC, a form. And let's say the user, I mean hacker sends you the HTML POC, and there might be cases. Let's say attacker has a email called attacker@gmail.com, and you have a email called victim@email.com. Attacker sends you the POC. You don't have to do anything. Just click on the POC. It will generate a HTML load there, and your password or your, as you can see here, the name is hidden or temporary value, or might be your password, might be your email, and there might be an option called confirmation, and the value is password. There might be cases where confirmation is true, and you just click submit. If you open that, you submit request, it will automatically generate a payload, validate the backend without even trying to check the CSRF or anything. And what will happen is your password will now be changed, or your email might get changed. So the attacker has the possibility to get your password. So if he gets your password, he can obviously take over your account. So that is also a very important scenario. So different type of CSI tokens, like cross-site request forgery tokens, like anti-forgery tokens, this can be used. Like only this website, only this website, in this website, this user has only these tokens. No one can reuse that. That might be a scenario to prevent the CSRF. you know Impact is, as you can see, changing email, password, transfer funds without user knowledges. So there might be cases, reports, you can check out all those things. Now coming to the SSRF. So server side request forgery is, you know an attacker induces the server side application to make request to an internet location. So there might be an internal network, there might be a metadata through which you can ask the server to handle the pings, or handle the HTTP, and or might help in the render pages or other scenarios through which you can access the internal data. So this is the attachment of my own findings for SSRF in Microsoft. So there's one endpoint in Grafana, and what I found was that there was open redirect through which I could enter the endpoint, but I couldn't able to log in, right? So I used my own collab, and in that collab I put my pass data, and it was getting a HTTPS pingback, also DNS pingback. So I tried to find that what is happening in the HTTP pingback. So I found that the internal data, internal endpoints got exposed. So I was very happy that I got to got a Hall of Fame and some bounties. I was very happy for this SSRF also. Let me check if the thing is there or not. So this has already been resolved, so no issues sharing that. Let's me might not be there. Okay, so this might be the scenario. Okay, so as you can see, this was discovered by Alvaro Belada, and what he did was there was a redirect option, msip.grafana.microsoft.com. So it was previously 11.5.1. Right now it's updated. You can't do that same thing. Okay, so there was this endpoint through which this was the first scenario of open redirect. So it was directly going to the evil.com. So this was connected to a open redirect. I have found multiple open redirects, but Microsoft doesn't give a single money to open redirect. So then what happened was there was certain endpoint in render. Let's say, as you can see, there was public endpoint and there was some render endpoint, and I didn't actually show anything here. So in that render endpoint, I used my collab. Uh, I can't show you that because they have some internal data there. So in that render endpoint, I was getting a DNS and HTTP pingback for the internal website. Then I tried to check whether they have any open ports for that internal website or not, and then somehow I made access to that internal website. So that was a SSRF, and yeah. So coming to the open redirects, there were different cases as I just showed you. There might be some when application redirect a user to a URL specified in the parameter without validation. So there should be validation, like when you say something in LinkedIn or might be some other websites, it will say, hey, do you actually want to go to that website? Are you sure? I am redirecting it to this website. Are you really going to redirect to that website? You can search it from like session tokens, or might be different cases. You can check about redirect URL, or there might be some options like HTTPS. What you can do is, as a beginner, what you can do is, let's say you are going to any website, right, and you are getting a option called redirect URL, or there might be some request where there you might be a existence of http something.com or something.com. What now you can do is put your collab, no, or might be some evil.com, and try to send it. And if you see that there is an endpoint through which you are getting a evil.com or a location to that website, that might be an open redirect. So what are the risks here? You can use phishing, redirect from the trusted website to the evil, and over token theft. Then there might be some vulnerable tokens, as you can see, like bank something login. Then the next, if you user try to log in, you can try to create an exact, Microsoft, victim link for, let's say, Microsoft Oath account or login.microsoft.com website for your own intranet ID that you can connect, and the people will not even know that this website is not authenticated to Microsoft, and then you can do a large phishing that is happening right now. You can check about that. So I can show you the POC again. So whatever I'm showing is already resolved. No worries about that. Let's come to the open redirect. So as you can see, there was a website called answer.microsoft.com, and then there was one option called silent, and you can see these were the right. You can use the Wapalizer also to check what is happening there. For this case, like site, then there was this endpoint where there was return URL. I tried to use these null bytes %2e, I mean slash slash, and it would try to go to this website. So let's go to evil.com. Let's check open redirect is happening or not. So there was one 307 redirect for login.microsoft.com, and they were not even validating that whether this is going to another login.microsoft for Microsoft intra tenant ID. None. So what I could do is I could create a another intra ID for event.microsoft, just a look alike phishing website, and victims will come and try to log in there. So that would might be a heat scenario for chaining attacks. So yeah, that was a open redirect. I think we are going pretty fast. There might be security misconfiguration. Let me check how many slides are there. Okay, I think we are very close to our end. So security misconfiguration is, there might be scenarios where there is, default credentials like admin, or might be, Apache Tomcat, there might be Tomcat. You put the data and you get into the dashboard and you get the, access. Then there might be other security misconfiguration like debug enabled. Like there might be some scenarios where the toolbars can, put you through cases like, for example, there might be web hooks where you put the data or put your collab to search for webhooks, and then it will get attached to your collab or send some pings for SSRF. This might be a configuration failure. That there might be directly listing or like web server configuration, or some details where the data is missing. There might be other cases also, like I know OTP bypass is a OAuth vulnerability, but response manipulation. That why is it happening? Because of the misconfiguration. Like a server should have validated the website. Let's say you put a wrong OTP, and the website gives you a OTP for, let's say, wrong OTP, put the right OTP. This will be the response and a 400 response. But instead, what you can do is, let's say you put a right OTP and it gives uh, a redirect. You put that fetching data to that website without a CSRF. And what is happening is, without validation, the server will directly log you into that account. So that will be also a security misconfiguration through which authentication, I mean total chaining, through which account takeover. So this I found in default credential. Let me show you the not POC again, this time the report, hopefully. I think there might be. Hopefully the system. Yeah. Okay. So there was a case for default credential vulnerability to the admin panel in IBM. This was resolved already in 2024. So what happened was there were save on endpoints where you could there were some details for, like, as you can see, email, and the password was basic admin default credential. So I could get access to that login endpoint, and I could do whatever I wanted. I could change the password, I could confirm. And the thing is, it was a huge case. I mean, as you can see, even though these are not directly handled anymore, but there were options where you can put the SNMP endpoints, different type of alerts, some thresholds, and might be like 5 to 6,000 you know uh, websites or data were connected here. As you can see, all the recent updates or the flash files, all the data document drives, everything was connected there. As you can see, as a generic 117 children data, some Motorola router switches, some other dot bit switches, some SNMP files, some handles, some POPs. So finally, these were, accepted, and I'm very happy for that. So again, these can be very critical, as you can see. So now coming to the important scenario is the chaining vulnerabilities. You can chain 1 plus 1 can be a 10. Like let's say self accesses. You are getting a self accesses in your website and you can't share it. But let's say you can connect it to a CSRF. I mean, I already explained. You got a self accesses, you got the session token, you connect a CSRF, and try to put them together, and that might change to a stored accesses. You can go through that report also. Let me come to this page. Okay, you can go to the report and check what is happening here. It was a self access to CSRF, or might be an open redirect that I already did to overflow. So what I did was open redirect to SSRF that I already showed you. So that was a critical account takeover also for my case also. So, chaining these vulnerabilities, or might be, some cases like clickjacking, a very low vulnerability, only using iframe. But what you can do is you can, uh, contact some cases in clickjacking where the data is, passed by victim without their knowledge. So there was one case in, I guess, MetaMask, where the clickjacking vulnerability gave them $1 lakh just only for one bug. Can you imagine that? You can search it for MetaMask. Yeah. Now coming to the main case is how you can start it, how you can create your own methodology, right? See, in online, I mean, in YouTube, in LinkedIn, in Twitter, you will get a lot of people's methodology. No, they are discussing their own methodologies. They are creating a recon file. They might create a visual recon or a automated recon. But you have to understand, you can try others' methodology, but can't create until you understand what is happening in the backend. So I'm just here to put you some example with my case. I used to do automation, but right now, yeah, definitely automation will help to, find multiple vulnerabilities. But in my scenario, when I try to stick to only single, uh, program, for example, Microsoft, I'm connected to Microsoft for more than a year. And when I try to understand all the assets endpoints, some things get to know. They get embedded in my head. Like I know where the Palo Alto about Microsofts are. I know where the Ivanti. I know where the SNMP. I know where there is Next.js. I know where there is Django or Citrix. Whatever it is, I know that website. So basically, you have to understand a or web structure, how things are happening. For example, this is a project discovery tool. I mean, there are GitHub tools also for project discovery. You can use Katana, Nuclei, and then Subfinder to find websites, I mean subdomains. And then you can do is go to you know okay, you can go to Subfinder, then you can do HTTPX, as you can see, you can go filter, then you can do nuclei for all the scans for the live websites, and then you can use community edition. And I really like the user interface. So as you can see, I'm going to show you what is happening. You can create a free account there, and you can get 10 assets here for every month. And I think 10 assets are more than enough to for a beginner to understand what is happening for the whole backend. So this is the endpoint. You just create your own account. I don't know what is happening, why it's loading so slow. You just create your own account using your GitHub or maybe your Gmail or anything. Mm, wait guys, I think. So this is cloud.projectdiscovery.io. So whether you use Subfinder, you use HTTPX, you could use Nuclei templates, everything is there in GUI platform. You can try to check it here also. Like let's say Subfinder. So these are the tools from projectdiscovery.io. You can use Subfinder. I think there are options to search for domains, search for strings, search for list, and then you can use HTTPX. This is also created by HTTPX, Subfinder. These are also created by Project Discovery. Then there might be some cases for nuclei. Nuclei is also a tool for from HTTPX. Then there might be PDDM, like the whole set of Project Discovery, where you get Nabu, where you get other tools like related to Nmap and all. But why I am suggesting this one is this is a very interesting tool. You can get let's say you want to understand a asset, you want to understand what is your inventory, what are the details you can do, what the companies you can search for. There is a asset group, as you can see, so you can add those asset groups there. Let's say I want to find something on nasa.gov. I mean, I want to crawl for NASA. This might be already registered there. You don't have to do anything. Yeah, as you can see, all the details about NASA is present there. What technologies they are using, what are the endpoints, what are the formalities they are giving back. Let's say this one is going to a 200. Let's check what is happening. Is it actually going to somewhere? And then some technology. There might be some response, like as you can see, vary, accept encoding. You can do search for AI also. As you can see, the things are updated for 12.2.1. You can check for multiple assets. Let's say I want to know for Next.js. I want to know how many technologies are there. I want to know how many CNAMEs are there. Search for this. Host screenshots. We can use favicons also. So there is a lot of option. You should use this tool. This is a very good tool. And then let's say what are the IPs. We even can ask AI. Let's say for 55182, this was very response. I mean, I already saved NASA, so why not going to NASA? They will also update that some assets are coming or not. So I already saved these assets. Let's go to the filters. Let's check for technologies. I want to check Next.js. I want to check for Grafana. I want to check for IIS or CDNs or modernizer, whatever you want. I want to check what are the Python, Slack, or anything is happening. I want to check React. Just ask. Just ask. You can also ask for, let's say in my case, I want to check if any website is giving a React server component endpoint example for HTTP response. If that is present, we can directly fetch. We can check that whether CV 2025-55182 is present or not. You directly go there. Yeah, there might be some cases. This is a website through which you can check the response, right? The transfer is encoded there. You can check. I think you can check it by this. Okay. There might be cases where you will search it and check whether the response is possible or not. Then you come to this template option and you search for nuclei templates. You go to templates. You can even create your own templates. That's the most creative thing. Like this one, 55184. You search a website and you will get that if the website is vulnerable to 55184 or not. If the case is 55182. Yeah, as you can see, 2025-55182. It's already present there. It will check that you will send a HTTP request for bound. I mean, come to the 182. It will send this WebKit form, right? and it will check some echoes data, might be a SSTI like this. There might be some execute echo, okay, number one and number two. So what it will execute some random number one, number two, something like that. And there might be some timeouts, some WebKit forms. As you can see, this also might be an SSTI. And in case of SSTI, you can use exe sync. I mean, execute the sync data. And then there might be some contents matches for the contents for the lower header and the result might be num1 num2, that will be a matcher. And then you will search and the details will be present here in the debug section. So yeah, this is a great tool. It will help you to overall understand what the asset is, what they are trying to check, what they are trying to tell, what are the CNAMEs present there, what are the details, what are the filters I can check out. As you can see, there might be different web servers in NASA, like Amazon S3. There might be S3 where you can get a 404 open bucket. You can use some CNAMEs. You can check there might be some Azure website dot net, and you can check whether that Azure website is present or not. Then you can use status for 200, 400, 404, 503, whatever you want. There might be host responses. You can search for response. You can even search for favicons also. Like for this case, there might be certain queries that I will going to tell you on the next class about the how you can do. I mean, core website vulnerabilities. So yeah, there might be favicons you can search directly here. Then might be content length, IP, host favicon has screenshots. It will directly, you don't even have to, check all by all that whether this website has screenshots or not. And there might be not here right now. But let's say I go to status code and let's say I open a 200 status. Okay. Let's see there is any screenshots or not. Obviously there will be, right? These are giving some screenshots. I don't know. You can check that 404 not found rate. I mean, there might be some, this one, let's say. There is no response back, as you can see. Okay, great. Some 303, some 200. Go check it yourself. There is, as you can see, a key cloak. You can try for key cloak templates, CVs. Check whether this is, vulnerable to some certain cases or not. You can do anything you want in this community edition. You can buy also if you want. So that's all. The efficiency, the modularity, the community, and what are the scanner engines that I already showed you. What is happening, you can check, you can, use a nuclei template instead of hard-coded checks, use YML files, basic normal check. They will create matches, they will create request, and then the project discovery GUI that I already used, that I showed you right now. You can use asset management, you can use continuous scanning. Things will be scanned by for you, by you. There will be vulnerability dashboard. When you use a premium version, they will even scan the vulnerabilities for you also. So that's a good thing. So this is the basic flow is discovery, filter, scan, and exploit that I already showed you. You try to, use Subfinder, then you filter whether the websites are live or not, then scan for nuclear templates. And then if you find any nuclear templates, you can try to exploit them, right? So this is the overall scan. So this is the today's session. What I want you to, have the security mindset. you know you have to assume that if it is connected to internet, you can break it. That's all. Like, think like an attacker. You have to think like I showed you the example of the GitLab, how easy it was, and he got like 35,000. Can you imagine that? Like seriously. So that's the way you can get, fun through getting knowledge, and you can earn creative testing. So this was a very recent case for, Intel that I submitted. You can see it was changed to exceptional, and hopefully I'm getting bounty very soon. I mean, they added the bounty for that. So yeah, that's all. The recap is, different injection, different access control, different server flaws, the modern recon technologies, and this is the recap. So in next step, we might try to, exploit it. with some more POCs, or maybe some live hackings, in gradual courses. I mean, people who are very much interested to earn and learn, we can do that also. So I hope this is the session we end. Or do you guys have any question? I will handle the rest to sir.
All right. Thank you, Shubham. So really, I'm so much learned today. Lot of vulnerabilities and techniques which you have explained with so much details. I really, impressed with the way you stepped in and prepared the content for this course. So everyone who all are in this call, I'm sending the feedback form over chat. Take a minute and put your genuine feedback whether the content is how the content is that helpful. Are you getting value out of this session? As there are you know more number of hours spent on creating the content and preparing the delivery. So we would like your feedback and opinion and share your feedback, genuine feedback on the form. That is first thing. Second thing, parallelly how you can start your hands-on. Like if you just listening what Shubham or me talking, you will not go anywhere until unless you go and take the step as an execution. So take the steps whatever you have learned today, go and set up on your computer using Burpsuit or Kali Linux. Start exploring HackerOne scope and start reading about how the program works. Feel free to refer other materials available on the YouTube and internet, as lot of people made huge content to help the community. So the intention for this course again is to motivate you get into the bug bounty and platform, so that we can create more ethical hackers from India and from the globe. So with that note, I conclude here. So we'll see you on next week, same time, with the excited content. So once again, I thank Shubham for hosting wonderful session, and everyone till the end, people joined here and listen to us. Thank you very much. Wish you happy rest of the weekend and end of the year. We'll see you on next year. With that note, thank you everyone. Have a good rest of the day. Bye.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you for giving the opportunity. Also, I was wondering if there will be a Q&A session or not, if people have any doubt. Hello, sir.
Yeah, if anyone have any doubt, feel free to unmute and ask. It's kind of an open discussion. Like, don't feel trainer and the candidate mindset. Take it as a brotherhood, and feel free to ask if you have any question. If anything unclear, you need more information. Use this as a great opportunity.
Yeah, guys, do you have any question? You can directly ask. I'll try to handle if I can. Or we can create some forms for the students who might have some doubts, that we can do. Yeah, we don't have a Discord channel. Sir, do you have any Discord channel where we can put the questions?
No, not yet. Probably we can set it up one if that's the interest, or I can safely create a WhatsApp group itself if interaction is needed. The reason I put only the admin can post because we don't want unnecessary messages on the group. So if it is
Definitely, sir.
only specific, then we can start something like we'll discuss and come back with an option how you can interact with Shubham or me if you have any further questions. Probably next before next session we'll announce Discord or some of the community where we can safely communicate.
Right, sir. Okay, again, guys, thanks for joining. I hope you guys have a lot of ample amount of time for 6 days. Just study hard about all those topics. PPT will be given by sir in the uh, chat box. I mean in WhatsApp.
Yeah, we'll share the recordings and the PPT on the same blog as I am gathering all the resources and post it on the blog.
Yeah. You can also connect with me or sir in LinkedIn too if you guys have any questions regarding that. Okay, sir. Thank you for the opportunity.
All right, yeah, we can wrap this call. Yeah, thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Bye. Thank you, sir.